What's going on, everybody? Julian here from jlewisTrading.com. Just doing a quick review this evening on what we were looking at this morning, what we traded, and what happened with the markets today about midday with this news on China. So off at the top, I'm going to start with some of the low float stocks. There was a couple gap and go stocks that we were looking at pre-market. RTIX was definitely one of them. And you can see that this thing gapped up. It couldn't hold. It got flat for the day. It really didn't do anything after being up about 110 some odd percent, I believe, 120% almost. It did just fade right out of the gate, and it got flat, and really nothing happened there. That was one of the low floats we were looking at. So again, nothing happening there. I did stay net positive and bullish on the day. You know, still ending the day up 63.5% above the 200 and the 20-day simple moving average. So it's still nice, but not a lot there to really trade, especially after that first sell-off candle into the open. So not a lot going on the low float side today. It is earnings season. Banks kicked it off today, and Delta Airline, I think, also reported today. So because of that, you're going to see not strain on the low floats, but you're going to be seeing a little bit less volatility in that space. This is probably one of the slower times for the low float. So if you're in one of our programs and you're learning about the low floats, during earnings season is the best time. So you got about 2 or 3 solid weeks to be studying for when earnings is over, because then the low floats will come back. And I would say this last quarter, there was a bit of a resurrection in the low float market. So that's something to look at. A lot of volatility there. So RTIX not doing too much. Now off of the top, I was looking and I traded Beyond Meat today. This 15 and 5-minute chart were perfectly correlated, and they have been perfectly correlated for the last week and a half or so. And this thing has just been moving up on its string. It's just been day after day after day of these insane gains. And today, right out of the gate, I was looking at a pre-market high breakout right through here. So price action gapped up, moved higher, pulled back, and right when the bell rang, this thing was absolutely on fire. And I did a full review in the members area in the app, and I posted that video in the options library. And essentially, this was the level right through here where this thing pulled back. I actually traded this one candle, and it took me straight to target. And so Beyond was the stock that I was looking at. I really like 2 and 3 bull bars to the long side, hitting targets, moving stops up, and then as price action gets a little bit long in the tooth on the day trade scalp side, taking the position off. I wasn't given that much opportunity on Beyond today, but I did take what I could, and I did hit target. So I'm not mad, and that's day 2 of trading BYND. So simple model. Whatever the top moving stock in my options universe is, I'm going to hit that. And if it can hold steady through pre-market into the cash market, that's just what I'm going to focus on. Beyond gave me that opportunity. I was also watching Tesla today, and Tesla as well, a little bit long in the tooth. You can see that there's actually a lot of divergence on this 15-minute chart. Having said that, there is a possibility, looking at this, that there is a bit of an ascending triangle, or sorry, not ascending triangle, a symmetrical triangle that's forming. Price action is over the 200-day simple moving average. It is broken out of a key level of $500, trading at 536. There is your symmetrical triangle. And there's a reset here on the 15-minute chart. So in terms of a day trade, price action came off a little bit. I think that Tesla is looking extremely extended, but theoretically speaking, because of the way that this pattern over the last couple of days has built out, it very well could play out long. But it also very well could break down and either do a retest, come all the way down to the 200-day simple moving average, and that's not out of the question. So this is going to be a very binary trade. It's going to take out resistance and move higher, or it's going to take out support and it's going to drop down to a more structured level. You can see that a lot of momentum did come out of the system. So I'm curious to see. I'm not going to make a judgment call, but I am going to be monitoring this tomorrow and in the days to come to see which side of the market Tesla decides to go with. Now, if I go over to this right here, oops, and we look at Tesla on a daily, and I posted a chart of this. This is something to really, really take into consideration. This is not healthy movement. If we look at these lows, you can see that price action right through here held a pretty steady trajectory. Price action then really started to move through here, and that trajectory got a little bit on the aggressive side, and then right through here it's gone literally parabolic. So there is something to be said about the fact that Tesla right now is in more of a parabolic state than a trending state, and there's some risk here of pulling back hard. If we go back and we look at the historics, you can see that Tesla did the same thing right through here. It went on this real incredible parabolic run and then literally dropped, right? So we see this happen a lot. I mean, there's another big parabolic move and then it kind of caps out and drops and then it gets flat and moves lower. So I would suspect that this will probably play out the same way, and this type of movement is a little too, well, it's not a little, it's too aggressive to maintain. You just can't maintain this type of movement. So if we look at this already year to date, we're up considerably, and we are trading up right now year to date 30%, right? And we're in a new market, right? Like the market's just literally 10 days old. It's the 14th today. We've had all of this week and last week and part of the week before, and this is crazy. So I would suspect that the most natural thing that has to happen here with Tesla is that it has to pull back. And with BYND, I would suspect that we're also going to see a bit of a pullback here. Now, Beyond Meat, you can actually see that it was very volatile back through here. It stepped down lower and has created this basing pattern right through here and has been in a pretty much, again, a parabolic state. There's a lot of disconnect between where price action closed today at that 117 level and where the 20-day simple moving average is. And that's going to have to come back and get itself aligned at some point. So there is some overextension, and I would suspect that there is at least about 20% of downside, and this thing has to catch up to the moving average. Something has to happen here. That could happen. It could be just a complete thump, but you got to look at the last 4 sessions where it stepped right off of that moving average in a very, very aggressive fashion. And then today we've got a topping tail, which could potentially trigger price action to move lower. So 114.90 is going to be the level to the short side that we're going to want to watch for this thing to maybe reverse and come back down to reality. So that's just generally where we're at with stocks. I know that CGC moved up a little bit today, but it did so sort of midday. Not really anything that I'm looking at. CGC is still, to me, considered a short trade, even though it's moving up. I think it's just caught in a vacuum with a lot of other stocks right now. But that's really what we had on deck today. So everything else was more or less in the red, and that was the day. So not a lot going on. There were a few opportunities. I've only traded twice this week. I sort of like the position of I get into one thing, I trade it, boom, and then I'm done. And I don't like to go back because I know myself as a trader, it's very, very easy for me to slip into over trading. And so I don't like to do that. But with all that said, this is what we did today. I traded Beyond Meat again, and both Tesla and Beyond Meat, among other stocks, are looking quite overdone. And I think that reality is about to set in for a lot of stocks. I hope some of this has helped. If you have any questions, info@jlustrading.com, or you can hit me up in chat.